Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, Book 3, Chapter 39. Barner's Point of View. Just outside of the mountain was a hole. Well, more of a cave than a hole, but carved out of magic. It was nearly 6 meters wide and tall, and went down at an angle so steep that you'd need to be able to fly to get out without a rope and pittance. It wasn't straight down, but it was steep enough of an opening that most wouldn't know the difference at a glance. Just like I had at the fort's wall, I created a powerful updraft and slowed my descent. I landed, not exactly gracefully, but without injury, and placed my hand on the luminous braids, pouring mana into them. The tunnel lit up for a few 100 feet past the opening. "This should have been lit already," I said, confused, from the distant darkness. I saw a group of about 12 familiars making their way towards me. "Oh, thank the dragons! The braids ran out of mana on our way up. We were told not to use any fire, so we didn't find them in the dark," Emma said, fluttering up to me. "We have just been following the walls for quite some time." As they approached, I noticed that each of their familiars was carrying loads of dirt and crates, emptying dal jars by the dozen and emptying bags. "I'll light up a few more on the way. Why can't you use fire magic?" "It's something about trapped gas in the air," the Emma said. "You would have to ask Chancellor A.R. on that. He is the one in charge down here. Now, if you excuse me, I need to get these supplies dropped off and refilled," he said, and flew up and out of the tunnel. A few moments later, a dozen Niema flew in, and started fusing mana ramping to carry everything out. I knew why the opening to the tunnel was such a sharp drop. I was one of those who helped decide it, but still, it seemed like such an inconvenience for the workers. Turning away, I started my descent and noticed a few ruins had been broken, summoning some supplies to fix them. I did what I could before filling them with mana again. A moment later, fresh air started swirling around the tunnels for a few meters. As I went, I fixed a few more broken ruins and filled up braids that started to dim or had already gone out. After a certain point, though, there was no longer the issue. The cave steadily grew brighter, not from the ominous light source, but because these braids simply never needed to be refilled. The ambient mana was enough to keep them lit. Past other convoys of Niema and familiars on the way, each heading towards the top, and some even passed me by one way down as I stopped to refill the braids. It was like a busy ant colony. So Niema and familiars were working on the walls, installing ruins, or upkeeping, replacing braids, or digging out traps, special ones meant to help kill the dragon. That's what this tunnel was, in truth, a mile-deep kill box. Every few meters there was a trap for the express purpose of causing extreme injury to the dragon, and a few Niema training to work it properly. Selekar designed them herself with chaos magic in mind. As I walked, I passed a few places, and fighting had clearly taken place. Blood of various colors was splattered on the walls, and the bodies of dead echoes poked out from underneath fallen rubble. My mind flashed back to the last time I had seen them, trapped under the very mountain, latched firmly onto my arms and legs. I had to take deep breaths to avoid looking at them, or else the claustrophobia would start to set in. Thankfully, the tunnel was large enough that it wasn't causing me to freak out. It had to be, so that the dragon would be able to fit into it. And there were other bodies too, not Niema, but other creatures, probably familiars who died in the fight, left to rot in the face of a much more pressing issue. Finally, I arrived at the portal. It swirled and twisted on itself like crashing waves. Then it would flatten out and swirl inward like a whirlpool. It was mostly deep green, but the edges shimmered and reflected the light in all angles, making them glitter like a rainbow occasionally. All around were Niema at work, digging the swirling mass out of the earth and rock, and they all were nearly done. The workers also seemed uneasy, swaying as if they were standing on water. One of the workers fell over and picked up by a pig-like familiar with prehensile tail, and was carried past me and out of the cave. "Barner, welcome," a voice nearby called out. It was Chancellor A.R. "It's that Niema, okay?" I asked, concerned by the lack of concern. "Oh, he'll be fine. Our workers have been cycling out of this mana sickness ever since we unearthed the world spirit. They need only to cast some spells and get the excess mana out, then rest. Nothing to worry about," he said. Another Niema nearby proceeded to fall over and also got carried out by a dog-like familiar. "Why aren't the familiars affected?" I asked. "They are, but their master's will fall conscious before the familiar die, so we have yet to, Suddenly, a familiar fell over limp, followed quickly by the Niema, as it was. Hap whispers, "Fermented! Take him out, and someone move that familiar!" One of the Niema on my class that I'd named appeared to use mana wrapping to carry the Niema at the large open area. They went out through the tunnel I entered from. A few other Niema used mana wrapping to pick up familiars and place it out as well. They're lonely ones. Anyway, how are you, Father? Was there something you needed? I'm okay. Yeah, no, just I needed to see it for myself, I said, looking once again at the portal. It was the first time these eyes had seen it, but it looked exactly as I remembered. Ah, yes, it is rather something, is it not? How powerful must the dragon be to be able to cross through this split? Even they can only stay inside for a few seconds, I said, and watched with twisting mass silently for a few moments. It hummed and crackled like static electricity, then would switch seemingly random to a roar like a train's horn, almost as if I knew the ferocity of what was trapped inside. I struggled to keep it contained. May I ask you something, Fanner? What is exactly the split? It's a bridge between worlds. What is a bridge? It is a tunnel between worlds. Ah, so it connects two different locations together, he said. Sure. You are one of the few beings alive who knows how to use a split, correct? Aaron asked. No. As far as I'm aware, only 2 dragons out of them all knew how to use this portal, and both of them were the Asham. So, the Chaos Dragon inside cannot use the split? Yes, but that won't stop him from trying. May I ask you another question, Father? Okay. Should you need to face the dragon directly, who do you honestly believe would win? Because, as far as I can tell, your power is not unlike the dragon's. Even standing this close to the world split, you are unfazed. He would. Are you certain? Yeah, unfortunately. I'm less than convinced, he said. His feathers ruffled slightly as he moved so that I was between him and the portal. The dragon has centuries of more experience than me. I can cast 2 spells at once, but he can cast up to 5. He wasn't the greatest magic caster of all dragons, but he was a contender in terms of pure skill and adaptability. There was even a time when some of the dragons wanted him to become the Asham. But that was long before I knew him. Are you saying that the Chaos Dragon was nearly the Divine Dragon? That's blasphemy, Aaron spat. Well, that's what he claimed, I said. Surely he was lying. Maybe. But at the end of the day, there were only a few dragons capable of beating him, Asham Nidhogg and his own son. In that case, how can we win? I know your plan for the tunnel and the drain him on his mana. Will that be enough? Aaron asked. We're throwing bodies at the problem. I know that, but it was all we can do. Fill the tunnels with familiars to attack the dragon as he tries to escape, and Niema with railgun spell to whittle down his mana while trying to heal, and runes to prevent chaos magic from being used. And maybe we can. Maybe. Our only hope of victory is to exhaust his mana. If we fail, I thought my bag where the nuclear arrow was stored, we die. I'm no warrior, my skills lay with strategy. I dislike having so little information on my adversary. I'm trusting such a desperate plan. Desperate times calls for crazy ideas. Making my way out of the tunnel was tough. I could use Chariot because it would deafen everyone in the tunnel. So, instead, I just distracted myself from the burning of my thighs as I walked by singing the only song I could think of, But Melty Min Mudur, and More Skildi Skapa Flu Uka. Pragra Ara, Pragra Abrat Mio Begigdum. Standa Upper in Stafni, Stira Dirmt Ganere. Alda, Stal Tel Hafna Hogva. Man Ok Anan, Hogva Man Akvan Anan. It was dumb, yeah, but it brought back good memories of sailing. Sure, we didn't actually sing the song itself much, but it's good anyway, and it is really better in Old Norse. But the Niema I passed looked at me like I might eat them when I was singing. Looking around, construction was going well, and for some reason I felt light, confident, maybe. The plan may work. Exiting the cave, I cast a healing spell on myself, and the burning soreness stopped. Sleep came easily that night. Everyone across the fort was tired, but even still, the sounds of construction and training echoed out, and it was the first time I'd slept in a few days. Healing and summoning repeatedly was starting to take its toll, and we only had about 3 days left.
Suma's point of view. When was the last time you slept? Queen Impera asked. She came to check on everyone in the healing tents. I was busy treating a construction worker who had been injured setting up a ruins and a magic circle. He made a mistake, resulting in severe burns and... Lady Suma? My apologies, my queen. Sleep? Yesterday. After King Hydra joined us in training and became Farna's familiar. I answered, slightly disorientated. My mana had run out multiple times today, treating injuries and training. Some soldiers brought us dull jars to use and ease the burden, but they can only do so much when... Lady Suma, that was days ago. Her head tilted and she looked concerned. What? I asked. Surely you are mistaken, my queen. I only entered the tent today. According to the other healers, you have been working non-stop since yesterday. I must say I had not realized you possessed such mana reserves. Perhaps it is because Fauna accumulated so many familiars? May I ask what you mean, Your Majesty? Why would Fauna's familiar contracts matter? I asked, confused, dazed, and dreadfully tired. You once told me that Fauna had no magic when you formed your contract with him. Perhaps that is why your reserves did not substantially improve when you formed your contract? She suggested. Somebody catch her! She shouted suddenly, and then the wolves started to turn sideways. Or more accurately, I did. Without noticing, I'd lost my strength and fallen off my perch. Thankfully, someone caught me with mana wrapping.
I shall fetch a dull jar,
A voice said, probably one of the other healers. She does not need mana, she needs rest, the queen said. Take her to her quarters. Lady Suma, I order you to get some sleep. A part of me wanted to argue, but I had already fallen asleep. I dreamt of the ocean, of singing, and saw Zachariah, leaning over the side of an old model of a sea flyer. Only part of him was clearly visible. The rest was like smoke, slowly drifting into the wind behind the vessel. I landed on what was left of his shoulder and leaned against his head. It was Zachariah who was singing. His mouth, eyes, and part of his chest were all that truly remained of him. I did not know the song, but felt great peace listening to it.
But Maltai, min moeder, at mer skildi kappa vlei, ook vagra ra, vara abrat med kverklingen, stranda op ip stafna, strida derum genera. Alles wa, til hafna hogwa man ak vanan, hogvo van ak onan. It's nearly time now, my friend.
It is nearly time now, my friend, I said, but it was not my voice.
How much longer will you last? Not long, a day or two at most,
Zachariah said.
How are you faring, Amboss?
Well, but every moment helps.
I said.
Are you in pain?
There was no answer from Zachariah. His mouth had turned to smoke and drifted away. Instead, I started to sing the song, from the beginning. Patmati min mua. My eyes opened, and it was midday. It was night, I think, when I fell asleep. Looking up, I expected the queen, but saw one of her attendants, Sven.
I apologize for waking you, but you've been asleep for nearly a whole day. You and Fauna, both. He awoke only recently, then ate a small mountain of food, and then went to teach one of his classes.
Confused, I said. I am thirsty.
Should I prepare a river?
Huh? I asked, stretching my wings. Oh, I do not. I was in my quarters, laid in my roost.
I'll bring you some juicy fruits. Anything else?
You do not need to...
It's Her Majesty's command, so I actually do,
he said, making it clear that he would not hear another word of it. Well then, just the fruits, thank you. With that he flew away, and I was left with the memory of the dream. After eating, I returned to the healing tents. Surprisingly, they were mostly empty, which was deeply concerning. Most of my life had been spent in tents much like this, and finding one empty was akin to finding a particularly large dalger of potent mana lying beneath a pile of gold coins. Suffice to say, it does not happen, and if it did, it would be extremely suspicious. What happened? Why are the tents empty? I asked one of the other healers.
Queen Emperor ordered more healers to assist us after they carried you away, and we took care of everyone. It has been relatively empty since.
Did you say the Q word? One of the other healers, who had been perched nearby and seemed to be drifting off to sleep, spat.
No.
He lied.
Anyway, Lady Suma, do you have a class to attend?
Ah, yes, I said and flew away. Queen Emperor's point of view. The dim glow of the luminous braids lit the room. There were 17 perches, but less than 6 were being used by myself, King Hydra, Chancellor Aaron, and our retinues.
Any dramatic changes?
King Hydra asked. Some, I replied. Everyone who received a name has had their mana amplified, but that was to be expected. However, the change was more potent than we expected.
I've noticed my warriors are able to train markedly longer than before, not to mention this magic circle.
He spread his wings and revealed the familiar's mark.
Why did we never consider using something like this before? Could it be so remarkable?
Chancellor Iron asked.
My spells are sharp and more precise and powerful than ever. Tell me, how do I appear to you and your eye, Queen Emperor?
I focused my mana gaze on him, just as I had done to Lady Suma and Fauna while they slept. King Hydra's mana had not increased significantly, but it was flowing differently than before. Just like a familiar's does. His now flowed more quickly as it passed near the mark emblazoned on his body. There was something like a small vortex of mana just above the mark. It is just like the rest, a significant increase in the speed of mana flow. Those who were named directly by him underwent a more impressive change, I explained.
And what of Fauna himself?
His mana has always been tumultuous, like seawater tossed in a storm. Before gaining Sagaraya's memories, it was far more uncontrolled. After naming so many Niyama and making contacts with him, his mana reservoir increased. Though I would barely be able to tell at this point. His control is no different than before. Lady Suma, however, she has undergone significant improvement.
That's no surprise. She is effectively a brood matriarch now.
Chancellor Iron said. What's that?
There is a term in my country for those who amass mana reserves by contracting countless familiars. The marks used in your country and mine are similar, so I suspect something similar is happening. Why have we never heard of this before?
King Hydra asked.
Because most of them die quickly and in agonizing pain in the attempt.
Please explain, I said.
In order to get the fullest effect, you must name a familiar after bonding with it.
Chancellor Iron said. Ah, of course. So they name too many and die from the strain? I asked.
Exactly. But seeing as Fauna has a seemingly endless amount of mana and a circle on his own, that may never happen to him.
He said.
A familiar's bond is two ways. Both parties benefit. One gains a circle, the other gains a portion of the familiar's mana.
King Hydra said. And since Fauna had no mana when he was made a familiar, Lady Suma received no excess mana. Until now, as Fauna makes dozens of new bonds and names each, I realized.
How much does she have now?
Chancellor Iron asked. More than 20 times what she had before.
Demi-dragon.
King Hydra said quietly, as if merely thinking aloud.
What?
Chancellor Iron asked.
Something one of my spies reported some time ago about the warlords of the Southern Union. They had found a means by which to steal mana from their slaves. The more slaves one had, the more powerful they became. They called them demi-dragons.
He said. I thought about what I had seen of Lady Suma's mana before. It was calm and peaceful, controlled, like a cloud or a gentle stream. Now it was more turbulent than before. Nothing like Fauna's, but not quite like it once was. More like a storm cloud. By my best estimation, Lady Suma now has the equivalent mana of a royal mage, at least. King Hydra chuckled.
Queen Emperor, if you do not offer her a noble title, I will. End of chapter. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.